Hello, I'm the Eternal Newbie. The extra L is for like, as in, when the DM doesn't like a player, then proceeds to make all the NPCs into jerks, you're not going to have a good time. It makes everything frustrated and ruins what should be a good game. This story takes place in the Wild Sea setting. It's a place where, some 300 years ago, the empires of the world were toppled by a wave of fast-growing greenery. A tide of rampant growth spilled out from the west, known as the Verdancy. Now, chainsaw-driven ships cut their way across dense treetop waves, their engines powered by oil fruit, rope golems, honey, and pride. Sounds pretty interesting. I'd give it a play. Let's see what happened in this game. It started with a Wild Sea game where we had a session 0. I knew the DM from another game where he played a Warforged who was really a Warhammer Tech Priest character export. I threw out the idea for a character, gave him a unique backstory as an Amberclad. Amberclads are basically people from the past who survived the apocalypse canonically, so their mindset are different from the current era. Gave him a quirk, that my character did not fear fire, and long story short, at his prompt I put in a lot of detail into my character. He promised it would be a game where these things mattered, and so I went in, an Amberclad chef, on a ship of sailors. Every time I cooked, I drew out pics of my food, described the ingredients and tastes and effects. Even though the specimens he gave me were kind of offhanded, with barely any details, I took them with glee. When his story took place, I wrote down notes every session and was always the one who recounted the last session as a recap before we began every session. When the sessions went on, I noted down everything he said and used them in the story, in character, to help come up with solutions, and when scenes happened, I made my character have a reason to involve everyone and find them and tell them all about it to get them on board in the scene. I mean, I was invested. I found the Wild Sea setting interesting after reading it from the rulebook. He said it would be a good game. Meanwhile, I started to slowly realize all his NPCs were gritty and just unpleasant to deal with. We entered a port, they pointed guns at us. We offered help, they said do whatever we want. We saved their ship and found its remains, returned it to them. They didn't reward us, they got angry at us. We went to offer to rescue their missing people. They abandoned us halfway and blamed us for the attacks. You know, I can get having a few NPCs like that, but not all of them. Imagine living in that world. You wake up, good morning, honey. Up yours. Wow, someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. After your kids tell you exactly what you can do with yourself, in which they are very insistent, even if it's not entirely physically possible, you go to work and things get really interesting. That'd be exhausting, especially in a game you're playing just to relax. Not only that, but pretty much impossible to play. You need NPCs for vital information. If they are all against you, how else are you going to know who took an arrow to the knee? I was getting real suspicious why all the NPCs were like that. Then I realized, oh, this is how Warhammer characters behave. That franchise had a bleak and nitty setting, and this was coincidentally how you perceive people should act too. So I felt like, okay, alright, well, to be realistic, my character should get mad at these NPCs who were a-holes to us no matter what we did, right? So my character had a quarrel with them. They blamed my character for using fire to save them. Alright, fair point. Then they proceeded to start blaming all their woes on my character, forgetting the actual enemy NPCs who kidnapped their ships and killed their people. At some point, all his NPCs forgot that they were constantly harassed by these pirates we were fighting against. Not us. I tried to make sense of it, but the reason was always, it's the Wild Sea. People are like that. Then, as the game went on, there were more weird things like biomechanical corpses, high-tech weaponry, machines melding with plants, and a lot of gore. I reacted as my character would. He was a flimsy human, or ardent, and if someone attacked him, he would attack back. The DM seemed really pissed when my character attacked back, and I was more bewildered than ever. When I didn't attack, and tried to interact with one of the frightening fauna which just wanted to eat my books, he straight up gave an exasperated look. All in all, I thought I had a very sensible outlook on things. When the finale was here, everyone had to deal with a lightsaber wielding, blaster pistol shooting, eldritch thing. I didn't even know where the heck that came from. Nothing up till now made sense. There was no build-up, there was no hint, no logical reason to why things happen. Bad things just happened and out of nowhere. Throughout the game, another player left, and many times other players had to approach me outside game to ask, what the F is going on with his game? And I tried to posit reasons, and maybe it was all part of his grand design, even though I had no clue at all. Now you might be thinking, maybe that's just the way the module is written, but I have it on good authority that is simply not true. That good authority being the guy who wrote the game. He found the story online and posted as much. So this is all on the DM. It makes you wonder if this DM ever has any good ideas. I can confidently say he does, and prove it with 7 little words. Lightsaber wielding, blaster pistol shooting, eldritch thing. That sounds awesome! If I ever get successful, it's totally going on a t-shirt. When players left, he asked for more players, and I found them amongst my friend groups for him. When his game came to a standstill, which was often the case, I would push the story forward with my character approaching the obvious plot point and directing everyone's attention to it. This included that one time he forced some spiritual obsession on everyone to be industrialists, and so we spent an entire session doing nothing but F around the idea of chopping wood. We got real bored real quick, and literally stared at each other for minutes. He laughed. Then, when the boredom was too apparent, I had my character start telling the others how unnatural it was, and try to break them out of it to continue the story of rescuing the captured villagers. He got real pissed at me doing that. Then, the game finally ended, after weeks of slogging through it, and he told me, in front of everyone, I will never understand the shit your character was doing. At that point, I explained in excruciating detail my thought process to him, and I told him I explained it all during the game, many times. I had been doing all this background work for him, playing with his story, investing time and effort in my character, and getting everyone on board with this. Then he replies, I realized halfway through, I don't like DMing for you. Which is when I realized, yeah, nothing I did ever mattered to him. He would always brush it off, ask me to roll some dice, and decide on an entirely unrelated result based on his dice. One of the players stood up for me and helped me explain my character's actions, but this DM just didn't care. He treated my character as a joke. So I left it at that. But to this day, I still wonder, what was the point of the game? I can answer that. The point was spite. The DM's spite. Okay then. And I hate to say this, I rarely do, no matter how bad the story is, but this person shouldn't be a DM. They aren't mature enough. I get people not meshing. It happens. You can put 2 nice, perfectly reasonable people together, and sometimes they just don't get along. Now, if this happens, the adult way to handle things is to talk it over and usually agree to go your separate ways. Or, if that's too much trouble, do what the DM did and destroy your game, ruining everyone's fun, including your own, and alienating multiple players. That is not the adult way of handling things. But enough from me. What do you think? I would love to hear your thoughts in comment and or like form. If you're new around here, how about subscribing and sticking around? In any case, thank you so much for watching, and remember, play your character. Don't let your character play you.